Got Jim Weeds on the table?
Yep.
Yes.
So about his team scoring, and then what's it like being solo? Yeah. 5:30-ish. And then 5:40 for Kremers. Haynes.
Well, hello and welcome to a very special live edition of Grid Talk from the Orlando Kart Center on the eve of the first ever SKUSA Pro Show. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, my goodness, David Land has lost a lot of weight and become a lot better looking, but only joking. David is on IndyCar duty just down the road in St. Petersburg, so it's down to me to host the show today, but we don't panic. We've got our regular panellists, Alexander Searle and Emory Lyda, here to keep things nice and sane over the next 60 minutes. We're going to be joined by X30 Pro driver Austin Garrison, Trinity Kart Group owner Sean Bayliff, Sodi USA teammates Dalton, Haynes and Harley Keel, and the reigning Pro Tour Pro Shifter champion Marijn Kremers. 258 drivers are here in all classes, but we are going to keep our focus on the two categories that form the groundbreaking, all-new for 2024 Pro Show. That's X30 Pro and Pro Shifter. Now, Alex, you're going to be acting as one of our pit reporters this weekend. You've been out in the paddock all day. What is the atmosphere like amongst the drivers?
It's been incredible to see, right? A lot of the drivers have really taken this pro show under its wing and really excited for it, right? I mean, this is a new format, like you mentioned. No longer are we doing race Saturday, race Sunday. Now the pro guys get their own day on Sunday. Big feature race, long race, right? Tire conservation is going to be huge as well. But overall, atmosphere-wise, these drivers are pumped, excited. Over $250,000 on the line.
Yes.
So I'm sure that's also an incentive for these drivers.
I mean, I've been in this sport a long time, and I can't really remember an atmosphere like this of just excitement, anticipation, yes, some nerves, but a real positivity about the future of the SKUSA Pro Tour and the Pro Show. But, of course, Emory, you working behind the scenes, you're going to be part of a very, very large kart chaser production team this weekend. What are we going to notice that is different for the viewers? Because Kart Chaser have put in unparalleled work to make this happen. What are the viewers going to see that's going to be new, different, and better this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, first off, Henry, big thank you to the entire Kart Chaser crew. I mean, we've spent the last couple of days putting together a lot of different things that are going to be seen on the stream. So, first off, the immediate stuff that you'll see on the visual side of things, we've got an extra camera this weekend. We're continuing to up the replay game from what we saw in Miami and what we saw in Vegas. So more views on that side of things. We've got more side-by-side views coming in. We're going to continue to see great grid shots between Alex and Keel and a couple of the other different static cams we've got for this weekend. And we've also got a whole host of different segments, whether it be from the Pro Show side of things, where we'll have more behind-the-scenes look at the drivers than ever before, or from the support categories, where we've also got a number of different segments. There's going to be a lot of stuff covered this weekend on Kart Chaser, sponsored by Acceleration Kart Racing, and I'm excited to see exactly what you guys think, because our goal at the end of the day is to bring the atmosphere that we've got here on the paddock to this production and continue to make everyone at home feel the excitement and the buzz that Alex mentioned is all the way over here. Yeah,
so to summarize, the 7 semi-pro categories: Micro Swift, Mini Swift, KA100 Junior, Junior X30, KA100 Senior, KA Master and Master Shifter, they will go out on Saturday and Sunday morning and early afternoon. They will do 2 rounds. Then on Saturday afternoon, the Pro Show begins. The 2 Pro Show categories will have 5-minute time qualifying, each class split into 2 groups. At the end of their 5 minutes, the fastest 6 drivers from each group will go into a 12-kart, single-kart super pole. 2 flying laps to decide the front 6 rows of the grid. Saturday night, we round out our coverage with the pre-final for the Pro Show classes. That's a 17-minute race. And then after the complete round of support classes, semi-pro classes on Sunday, the main event, the Pro Show final, 25 minutes, rounds off the coverage, $5,000 in cash for each Pro Show final winner, $10,000 for the champion. There is a prize fund across all the classes, a record-breaking, eye-watering $310,000 up for grabs this year. It really is a game changer. Alex, what's the sense of excitement among the drivers? So what do you think the racing in the Pro Shows are going to be like? Is it going to be a little bit more cautious because they've only got 3 rounds, no dropped scores? So the semi-pro classes, they do a round on Saturday and a round on Sunday. So their Pro Tour schedule stands at 6 rounds. But the Pro Show, it's 3 rounds. Every race counts. But with the money on the line, and the extra time that we've got to feature the drivers are going to be the stars. What is this going to do to the racing?
Oh, man. I mean, we got a preview of it last week at the Norberg Invitational. You put money on the line. These guys throw it all out there for a little bit of extra cheddar. So I expect the racing to be incredible. But you said it best, right? All of a sudden now it's 3 rounds instead of 6. So every race counts. You cannot afford to have a bad race because there isn't a drop. Essentially, your championship is over if you have a bad race with how competitive this field is. But all in all, I expect aggressive racing, hard racing, and some tears to be shed, I think, throughout the next couple of months here, Henry.
Yeah, okay, so, Emory, how could this change our sport? We've already talked about the fact that Kart Chaser, the split between the semi-pro and the pro classes, we're going to feature the semi-pro classes more. We're going to be able to tell the stories of the rising stars of our sports and some of the veterans a little bit more. But, of course, with only 2 classes, we can't have a quick turnaround between qualifying and the pre-final, so we've got to have more airtime. We're going to be going in depth much greater, aren't we? How do you think over this next couple of years, as the pro show grows, how can it transform this sport from a niche sport into something mainstream?
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. When you're starting a business or any sort of project, the goal is to have a great product, right? Karting in itself is already a great product. We've just got to find the right format, the right avenue to show said product. And by doing this format, by creating the 2 pro categories, making sure that we have a schedule that maximizes exposure for all of them, we're giving an outside look, an inside look into the scenes of pro karting at what it can be at its finest. We're giving each of the drivers a bigger brand opportunity. We're letting the audience and people that might not know karting see the outside scene and get a better view of it. So on the pro side of things, there's more exposure, there's more branding opportunity, and we're going to continue to see the great spectacle that is kart racing continue to grow. And then on the semi-pro side of things, it's a game changer in their sense too, because we're getting to cover more of their stories throughout the day. No longer are we going to be so focused on the pro categories during the course of a regular routine day. We're going to have the time to be able to start focusing more on the inside stories, the inside scoop of the semi-pro category. So by the time they jump up into pro karting, they'll already have kind of that outlook on who they are as an individual, and they can be the next rising stars. So it's a big win for the sport of karting. I think in the next couple of years, we're going to see a lot of brand development, a lot of opportunity to continue to grow the sport and continue to get an inside look of what is the purest and best spectacle of racing that we have to offer.
Yes, and the drivers are now the focus. The drivers are the stars. And I think it's about time that we introduce our first star of the day, Pro X30 driver Austin Garrison. Austin, welcome to Grid Talk. And, first of all, how has the day gone?
It was good at the beginning of the day, and then, it kind of slowly, went on a decline from this morning. But, we didn't really change too much today. We were really fast yesterday, so we didn't really want to go and change too much on the chassis. But, it's about time that we need to go back to our basics where we were really fast yesterday in the morning, but that's for tomorrow.
Now, panelists here, Alex and Emory, are gnashing at the bit to get into the questions with you. But to summarise, 27 drivers in X30 Pro, representing 15 different teams, 9 different chassis, but there's only one driver for Speed Concepts Racing. That's you.
Right.
And so there's been a few challenges. Emory, take it away. He's disappeared over there. So Alex, take it away. It's a big year for Austin off track, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure, Austin. I mean, I want to touch on this a little bit because you've mentioned it to us in the past couple of weeks here. You're still growing it. It hasn't really launched off the ground yet, but talk to me a little bit about what you're doing in the club scene and overall the team that you're getting going. You're coaching the up and coming drivers, and how excited are you to get that off the ground and running?
Yeah, no, I can't wait till it fully goes and has like a full launch on it. I've been working on this for quite some time now. I've been talking to a lot of people about it to go, like you said, get the up-and-coming drivers to go out there, and go to the big, national events like the USBKS, SKUSA, end up running over in Vegas as well. Definitely starting out as a local standpoint and then working our way up to go with Speed Concepts Racing. That's kind of like the ladder system that we want to go through. But, me being on track with all these drivers, like I was on track for, a few days, even, for almost like, I think it was like 6 or something days with Jackson Wolney, and he's been lighting it up this weekend. He's been going super, super fast. I'm super happy with, where he was, up a month ago for driver coaching with him, and then until now, he's been doing like quite well for himself. So, like I said, from starting off, something small and at a local area and slowly building people up to, gain confidence to go and run these national events, because, it's all about getting more and more people to go and run these national events. So.
Now, some of you may have noticed, like a flame-haired, sunburnt phoenix rising from the ashes, Emory Lyda has materialized over there, because, Austin, you were feeling a little bit lonely, so Emory's over there. Take it away, Emory.
Yeah, Austin, first off, glad to give some company, and you were a little bit lonely over here. But, let's talk about the Pro Show format. You have kind of a new era of karting. You've been here a long while, got a lot of experience, a lot of different formats, a lot of different series, a lot of different races. But kind of this hybrid role that you have as a driver coach, but then also racing on your own side of things, how has this contributed to your outlook of the weekend, being able to run your own race as well as having the opportunity to coach some of the younger drivers throughout the day and continue to work in that sense later on this weekend?
Right. That sort of kind of really plays a big role in my part. If not going and racing and having to go and work and driver coach with the K drivers, because once you get off the racetrack, the K senior drivers or junior drivers, you're in a full cycle, so you don't have the full amount of time. They really want to go and be with them and work with them as long as you want to. But having us, go and run at, after lunch is perfect. It kind of works out for me going and being more one-on-one driver training people. And also, for us, I kind of got to go and budget ourselves as well, because I'm not having somebody working on my go-kart all weekend as well. So that kind of helps me go and race more, because I've been, obviously people are dabbling in and helping me, but that frees up space, because now when everybody's going to be finished running their pre-finals and finals, now there'll be more hands-on for somebody like me to go and help. So all in a whole, I really think it's a pretty great move. Now going on to, out and qualifying, with that a Super Pole deal. They used to have that, I think, in the Rotax Grand Nationals. They used to go and have that, which was awesome. I thought it was super cool. It's like that is like a normal show. Like people want to go up there and watch. Hey, I qualified, 6. I think it's like top 6 that are going to be going to it. You can go from 6th to 1st or first to 6th. I've done both.
12.
It's 12.
6 from each group.
Oh,
so
okay.
You're going to be split into 2 groups, and the top 6 in each group, so it's 12.
That's going to be interesting for sure. 2 laps,
2 flying laps, so that puts the onus on you having to hit your marks.
It'd
does
perfect.
Puts the onus on the mechanics. The team have got to say, okay, we're going to set the carts up for a 4-minute qualifying session, but then also for a 2-minute or 2-lap blast after that as well, because you're stuck in Parc Fermé. You can't go out and make changes. You've got what you got.
Right.
So,
yeah, no, that's going to be pretty intense for sure. I mean, you can go and have a bad qualifying and go from 12th up in the top 5. It's a whole a wide variety of things can go and happen.
No, just quickly, we're going to summarise the thing, but I think the fastest driver overall goes out first for Super Pole. So the 12th fastest driver goes out last. Traditionally, the later you go out, the better. Do you think that will play into the 10th, 11th, 12th drivers' hands?
I think with only 12 people going out there and only doing 2 laps isn't going to be a make it or break it deal. It's so short.
Well, based on happy hour results, you would have been the last man in to Super Pole. So we're going to quickly recap happy hour practice. Ryan Norberg, fastest, he's done a bit. Unsurprisingly for the Rollerson Performance Group. Dalton Haynes, second for Sony Kart. Alessandro Di Tullio, the SKUSA Winter Series champion, third fastest. Diego Ramos, who won the Norberg Invitational last week, was fourth. Donovan Bonilla, a real dark horse, in fifth. Emma Scarborough, sixth. Hayden Jones, Harley Keeble, Nicholas Terlecki for the Hutz Racing Academy. Santiago Fernandez, Brandon Carr, and then Austin Garrison, top 12. But Alex, Austin's not had an easy time of it. He's saying about mechanicking, and you're looking flexing the guns there. Those arms have been hard at work this week, haven't they?
Yeah, the veins are showing there, Austin, a little bit. But we talked a lot throughout the day, and you're wrenching for yourself, you're driving for yourself, you're also coaching. You have a busy schedule, a lot on your plate throughout the weekend here. I mean, how tough has that been for you, and has that been part of the reason why there's been an up and down day for you?
Yeah, no, it's definitely it does get tough, you know. That's why I do like this format, because it kind of calms everything down for me. But you know, as soon as I get off the racetrack, if I got to go and change an axle and I got to do this, I got to go and do that. Then next thing you know, you got the K senior drivers that are coming in, so I got to go and stop, go and coach, and then go back to what I was doing and this and that. Which obviously I do end up getting help, but people are, you know, they got their own priorities I have to go and work on. You know, I'm like, hey, I can do it, and I do the best I can. If I really in a pinch, then people go and help me. But you know, overall, I've just kind of been non-stop all day, and it has been difficult. You know, haven't really sat down much. You know, go and take a breather. I just been going, you know, full throttle, but you know, nothing fell off today, so that was good. But making, you know, the choices on setup and all that, you know, that's kind of within all of us. You know, not so much entirely me. Like me and Alex Speed, Mike Speed, we all go and talk about the chassis setup and figure that out. But we're going to go back to, you know, our normal setup as tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be a lot better.
Yeah, and I mean, taking a look at the team as a whole, I mean, this time last year, you kind of had the opportunity to have multiple teammates that were up in the running. This year, not only are you kind of having to work on your own card and have all the difficulties around coaching, but you also don't necessarily have the data that you were having last year. I mean, how has that played a part in getting dialed in? I know last season you guys went really well around here. It looked like throughout all 3 events that we had in Orlando, you were up at the front of the field. This year, I mean, you've had pace at times, but it seems like it's kind of a little bit more sporadic. Do you think the teammates have kind of something to do with that in a sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely helps having more teammates with you, because, you know, obviously everybody knows one guy can go out with this setup, another guy can go out with this setup, or this gear is going to work, or this gear is going to go and work. So instead of me running all those ropes all day, that can be knocked out in, you know, 2 different, you know, sessions when you go out on the racetrack. So that plays a very vital part, having teammates. But unfortunately, you know, I think we have enough laps around here that we can kind of, you know, have a pretty good judgment from where we were last year than where we are now to go and make a, you know, the right change.
So, final question. I'm going to put you on the spot here. I know that, I mean, obviously you were very fast here at the Nürburgring Invitational. You know your way around this. But after today's struggles, realistically, what are your expectations, and who is based on what you've seen, who's the man to beat this weekend, or lady?
I know compared to last year when we raced here, we were kind of all like struggling at the SKUSA event here. Now I know Diego is going to be a pretty big threat. You know, he was super fast at the Nürburgring event. At the Rotax race, he was the biggest threat who was there. So I feel like it's going to be with him. I don't know, Harley's going to be quick, and, you know, obviously Ryan. I can't really go and, you know, point out one finger who I am really worried about, because those, you know, 3 people are going to be the ones that are going to be up front and dicing it out, and they're not going to be slow at all. Okay,
well, Ryan, Austin, we'll let you go, because you're probably going to have an early night, because you'll be working very hard indeed, and we will see you tomorrow for the first ever Pro Show. Thank you very much, Austin Garrison. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be speaking to Tweedledum and Tweedledummer, the 2 SODA USA teammates, Dalton Haynes and Harley Keel. We're back after this break. In the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Grid Talk Live here at the Orlando Kart Center on the eve of the first ever SKUSA Pro Show. Joined now by SODA USA teammates Harley Keel and Dalton Haynes. Dalton, second in happy hour practice. Harley, you were a little bit further back. I'm just trying to check to see where you were. 8th. Happy? Not happy? How is it? One practice session does not a day make. How is the day gone overall for the pair of you?
You start, Dalton. Yeah, so I definitely think I'd like to thank Sodi Racing USA and PK Sports for P2 and Happy Hour. The Sodi carts are doing really good this weekend. I think me and Harley can both say we're having no problem at all with the Sodi cart. It's handling really well. But yeah, I mean, Bordonia Racing Engines is helping me this weekend, and Danny's doing a great job. The engine's fast and the cart's fast, so that's why we're P2. I mean, no other thing about it.
I mean, there were 0.2 of a second separating you in Happy Hour, 2nd to 8th. That, Harley, shows just how competitive Pro X30 is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very competitive and it's very close. I mean, for sure there's 0.2 somewhere on the track, so for sure I'll find it. I'll go back, look at the data, maybe look at some camera. I'll find it somewhere. You know, tomorrow is the day and Sunday is the day that matters, so today we're just figuring things out.
Right, I will now leave you in the capable hands of Mr. Alexander Searle and Mr. Emory Lyda, who are going to pepper you with very, very deep, meaningful journalistic questions. Take it away, gentlemen.
All right, boys, I'll start with you, Dalton, and then Harley, you're going to answer after Dalton. 2nd and 8th, right? Really good happy hour. Going into the qualifying Super Bowl format, right? We're going to split into odd and even groups for that to see who gets the top 6 in each to go into the top 12 Super Bowl format. Dalton, starting with you, right? 2nd and happy hour puts you 1st in the group starting on qualifying. You know, where's your head at going into that? And do you like that? Or do you think, would you have rather been maybe 4th or 5th in line?
I don't think it really matters here. There's not a huge draft advantage at this track. I mean, it's a really small track, not a huge straightaway like an Indiana track or Utah. So I'm not really worried about it as long as I'm just in that position. I know I have speed. That's what I'm really happy about because qualifying, as long as I'm in that top 6 of my group, like you said, you go for Super Bowl. So as long as I get good track positioning, maybe I'll slow down a little bit, maybe I won't. It just comes to the first lap, first lap, warm-up lap, and then I'll go on from there.
Harley, now you. I mean, 8th and happy hour puts you 4th in your group. 0.2 off your teammate there, but you were quick all day long. You know, you're bouncing around the top 5 in most of those practice sessions. So, you know, where do you think it went a little bit awry in the happy hour, and do you think you have what it takes to go out there for a Super Bowl contention tomorrow?
Yeah, I just think I probably just rolled out on the wrong lap, and that could have probably been my fastest lap. So, I mean, I think also being 4th in line isn't a bad thing. You know, I've got some fast people in front of me to follow and get draft, so that'll help me out a little bit. And, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, and I mean, Dalton, I'll start with you on my side of things. Looking at the track, I mean, 2 years ago you came here and you ran X30. This year you come back a lot better and a lot better day on Friday, to say the least. But I mean, how do you view this track as a whole, and are you enjoying kind of getting used to it on the X30 side of things again?
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, the Orlando Kart Center is a great track. I was really happy to drive it. You know, it's got a really good flow to it. I really enjoy this track, and like I said before, the Bordonia Racing Engine and Sodi USA kart's doing a great job here. I mean, it just shows how good the Sodi is. It was good last weekend when we came 1st and 3rd, and it's good this weekend right now. And I think you're going to see both me and Harley in the top 5.
Yeah, and Harley, I mean, on the track characteristic side of thing, I mean, you've been fast pretty much everywhere you've been in the U.S. in the last year. I mean, you've been fast at Indiana, you've been in Cincinnati in the summer. I'd say if there was one kind of weak point from Homestead rounds earlier in the year, it looked like as the weekend progressed, track greased up, it looked like you guys got a little bit worse. Is there any sort of concern with that, or do you guys feel like you have it completely dialed in as the temperatures get hotter here?
No, I think here is a little bit more different. I think at Homestead it kind of gripped up a little bit more. Here it got a bit more greasy, so I think here we've got a bit of a better chance than we have at Homestead. But either way, we're going to be fast and we're both going to be there.
Got you.
Harley, and we're going to start with you this time, Harley. You know, we knew you guys were quick from last weekend's Norberg Invitational. Obviously, a bit of controversy there. You know, you guys felt like you had the money taken away from you there, but pace was there. You proved how quick the Sodis can be around this place. I mean, how much has that kind of fired you up heading into this weekend?
I mean, for sure, like, last year we was very fast here, first time on a SOD. We come here again for road tax, we were very fast again. We come here again for the Norberg Invitational, we were very fast again. So for sure, I need my redemption, and I'll be back and I'll come strong.
Dalton, I mean, you played a really big part in Harley's win last weekend, unfortunately taken away from him, though. But you played the perfect teammate for him there, still walked away with a top 3 finish on the racetrack. Once again, same sort of deal. Has that fired you up going to this weekend, and where's your mindset at now, knowing the speed is there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last weekend was Norberg Invitational. We wanted some money, and I know if I could get Harley into first and me into second, why not block, right? Why not know that one of us is going to get first and then take my chances on trying to come second? yeah, so then when I got a gap and I saw Ramos behind me and then all the guys other behind me, I just did as best I could and got third, right? So we took that, and then obviously unfortunate with the weight, we just didn't know. We were set at 358 all week. We never changed, and unfortunate circumstances led to us getting disqualified. But this weekend, it's Pro Tour, right? So I'm fired up for Pro Tour. You know, it's $10,000 to the winner in cash at the end of the season. It's $5,000 this weekend. So yeah, we'll still be working together, but those last couple laps we'll definitely be trying to help with the Constructors Championship, and it'll definitely be closer.
Dalton, you mentioned why not block for your teammate, right? Harley, if roles reversed, I mean,
Yes, I would.
can we expect?
Yes.
All right, awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Of course.
that being said, right, a lot of money on the line last week, a lot of money on the line throughout the championship here for the SKUSA Pro Tour, for the Pro Show. You know, if you guys are 1-2 there going towards the end, I mean, you know, what can we expect?
And we've seen you two building Lego together, and you were fighting over that, and that was over Lego. So you know, how can we expect you to play nice when there's $5,000 cash on the line?
Yeah, but there's also a team championship on the line.
Exactly.
So that's something that we can't lose.
Yeah. Me and Harley, even when we raced at USPKS GoPro for AKA the first time in X30, we race hard. We're very aggressive drivers. That's why at these shootout races we're very fast. But when it comes to each other, we're also very fair. Whoever is the best man on track is going to win. If it's just us two, we're going to drive to the best of our abilities, but no one's getting taken out. We're both professionals. We're both under SOTY. We both respect each other. So at the end of the day, it's the best man that wins, and we're not going to crash. We're going to be 1 and 2 at the end of the day. Just one of us is going to be ahead of the other.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that all you want when it comes down to $5,000 at the end of the day. I mean, regardless of who wins and working the team game, I know you guys have that kind of setup that you guys mentioned, but as a whole, new format and everything, two, I would say, of the most aggressive drivers on the grid, but also calculated aggressiveness. How do you think this format and kind of the limited races helps kind of play into each of your driving styles? I'll start with you, Dalton.
Yeah, so obviously a lot less track time this weekend. We'll wait for that scooter to go by. Obviously a lot less track time this weekend, just the pre-final and the final. It does help with the pre-final being quite a bit longer, but that also means you want to take your time. So we're going to have to probably dial it down a little bit this weekend, you know, save the tires. It's a long pre-final, 15 laps, I believe, and then the final is 25, and you start on new rubber.
17 laps.
17 laps
in the pre-final.
Okay.
And it's 25 minutes.
25 minutes. Okay. Thank you for that correction.
In the final.
Yeah, no. So it is a lot longer.
Minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's quite a bit more than
Cardio.
25 laps here.
Well, that brings up a question. So you know, you've got new tires for the final. So the tires there, but there's fuel and there's wear and tear in the karts. Physically, how is this track compared to others for 25 minutes against a world-class field? Because we were all trying to do our prediction of the top 5, and we each of us came up with 10 drivers that could easily be in the top 5 of the championship. You two were included, by the way. But yeah, 25 minutes, that level of pressure, that level of competition, how is that going to affect you?
I actually enjoy that more. I prefer longer finals.
Harley's not agreeing with you. Look at Harley.
Yeah. I prefer longer finals. IME Grands was 25 laps, I believe. It was quite a long race, and I'm a more smooth driver. I prefer the longer races. Take your time, keep tires nice. Harley's pretty aggressive. He goes pretty fast out the gate.
Yeah. I was going to say, Dalton, are you going to share your calisthenics workout with Harley?
my
Get a little
gosh,
bit more
yeah.
endurance in there.
It all depends where you start, isn't it? If you start at the back, you're going to be aggressive. If you start at the front,
Yeah.
you've got to take it easy. It's a long race.
Absolutely, and we both will be at the front, hopefully, after that pre-final. We'll just get some early aggression in, get to the front, or maybe qualify at the front tomorrow. We'll find out, and then go from there, you know.
Well, we asked the same question, just to finalise this part of the programme, we asked the same question to Austin Garrison earlier on. Obviously, you two are in with the chance of victory. You both know this will be fast all day. If there's one driver that you think, based on what you've seen on track day, if there's one driver that you have to beat to win, who is your strongest competition? A name. Harley.
Alessandro De Tullio.
Dalton.
Alessandro De Tullio, yeah. Alessandro De Tullio and Ryan Norberg. Norberg's very
Oh,
fast.
that's two names. You
All
see,
right.
Harley
He'll
did
say
it.
Ale, I'll say
Harley
Norberg.
did it right.
I'll say Ryan.
Okay, Ryan. Okay.
I'll say Ryan.
Harley Keeble, Dalton Haynes, SOTY USA teammates, very, very strong this year. Thank you very much for joining us. That concludes our part of the guests for the Pro Show, but I'm going to give the final words to you two drivers. We've got the superstars. There's 27 drivers in the Pro Show. Give me two drivers who are going under the radar that aren't necessarily on anyone's top 5 list. Two drivers each that are going to be breakout stars in 2024 that can maybe get a top 5 or even a top 3? Go.
Yeah, I think the two guys, to me, that are going, two drivers, should I say, under the radar, one has to be Emma Scarborough. She's been incredibly quick all year, really, but now with her first X30, or one of her first X30 races now, top 6 there in happy hour, going to roll off 3rd for qualifying tomorrow. So she's been incredibly quick on the Nash Motorsports EOS go-kart. Then Brandon Carr, another driver to me. He's been, in the top 10, outside the top 10 there in happy hour in 11th, but overall, to me, he still, every time I talk to him, he's like, oh, we're still working on it, So with the speed he has shown throughout the weekend with still working on it, this is the track that's favored him last year at PKS and Pro Tour. So I think, once again, once they get that kart fully dialed in, he's going to be a driver to watch, especially with the aggression levels being higher now with the money on the line.
Bulldog's going down. Bulldog's going down, bro. Bulldog's going down.
Emory?
Yeah, I mean, great choices there. Emma Scarborough really good today in happy hour, as well as that Brendan Carr. I mean, continuing to get dialed in on the Kart Republic. But, I mean, I want to focus in on two guys. One of them, Nick Terlecki, that we've already seen kind of towards the front. He had a lot of good pace in happy hour, was actually behind Dalton in the RPG train for a while then happy hour, and kind of was pretty decent in pace in the middle part of the top 10. I think if he can continue to be consistent, he'll be one to watch. But I think
the HOTS driver development.
Yeah, HOTS driver development
Nick
driver.
Terlecki, okay.
Yeah, and he was pretty good throughout the season at the end of the year last year, moving up to X30. But the second guy, one that's kind of been really under the radar, and I think can at least break into the top 10 consistently more this year, is Santi Fernandez. I mean, pace-wise from this time last year, he's improved tremendously. I think he's still got a good ways to go to get all the way up to the front of the field, but today you put it in the top 10 in happy hour. He's consistently been inside the top 15 throughout the early part of the season, and I mean, I can see him possibly breaking into the top 5. We've seen flashes of it in Miami, and I think we'll continue to see flashes of it over the course of the rest of the year.
Okay, well, there we go. You've heard from the drivers who they think are going to win. You've heard from our panelists who are the breakout stars maybe to watch. This concludes the X30 Pro part of our show. When we come back after this next commercial break, we move on to preview Pro Shifter. Don't go away. Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at SimCraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
Colin, I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth roof sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the Car on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place, and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop AKR.com.
Here at MPG Motorsports, our main goal is to provide the best pathway to professional motorsports for our entire team, drivers and mechanics alike. Based out of Whiteland Raceway Park in Indiana. For more information, contact us at chase@mpg-motorsports.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Grid Talk Live here at the Orlando Kart Center. We now move on to Pro Shifter, and we're joined by Trinity Kart Group owner Sean Bayliff. Sean, the Trinity Kart Group, the Kart Republic chassis, you've been growing and growing. The karts always look good. The drivers, you're getting very, very good drivers. Quick rundown of Pro Shifter. So you've got Gavin Bayliff in Pro Shifter and Brandon Carr in Pro X30. Gavin finished in happy hour, I think he was 17th. We've got 26 pro shifters, a world-class grid. Danny Formal, the big guy, was fastest in happy hour. Marijn Kremers, reigning Pro Tour champion, returning to the USA. Factory Tony Kart driver, second fastest. Mateus Morgato, former world champion, was third fastest. Then the Kiwi kid, Jay Irwin, Hunter Pickett, Giorgio Carrara, AJ Myers, Kyle Wick, Billy Musgrave, and David Greco. I mean, with Gavin Bayliff, that is a huge variety of teams, of chassis. That can only be a positive thing for the sport, and you're obviously one of the growing teams, with the establishment of the Kart Republic, and now Brandon Carr winning at Homestead in the winter tour for you.
Yeah, Brandon did an awesome job for us in Homestead, and this weekend's been a bit disappointing on our shifter program, especially because we came here and tested. I'd like to not have them run our shifter program there at the second round. Came here and tested, had really good speed. The conditions changed quite a bit. We're having a big struggle with the engine package. Engine builder kind of left us high and dry here this weekend, so we were struggling from that. That 17th was actually a big improvement from what we had earlier in the day. So the trend's going better. We're kind of on an island right now with being the sole Kart Republic and not having, the teammate that you need to do it. Brandon right now, Thomas helped him out quite a bit down in Miami. Being on an island in X30 is in the pro shifter stuff, it's a tough go. But I think we can fight through that and get a good finish, especially as well as we ran at the first round with Gavin. So. In Miami.
Well, before I let these two loose on you with their questions, you're a team owner,
yes.
but you're a racing dad. Your son Gavin. So where does the team? You've got stressful enough operating a large team, but then you've got your son out there racing, and even though he's in pro shifter, they're still your babies, aren't they?
Yeah, that's always this has to be a family business for sure, especially with us. And, we definitely have different irons in the fire with owning Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, and then the Kart Republic factory team here in the U.S., and then, of course, being a dad. I'm fairly good about separating that. They turn the wrenches on themselves, so, I don't put mechanics on them per se. So they're learning the business, and sometimes that's not always fair to them, but it's a good way to learn the business for sure.
It absolutely is. So you've turned the wrenches. I'm now going to let Emory and Alex turn the wrenches on you. Go take it away, gentlemen.
Perfect.
Sean, you mentioned becoming the Kart Republic factory team here in the States. You guys were obviously a Kart Republic team beforehand. Now you're the factory team. So what has that been like? With the stakes being higher for you guys as a team.
It hasn't changed a whole lot because behind the scenes we were. The biggest struggle for me at Miami is I couldn't find my go-karts, so I had to add some green on them this weekend so we could differentiate the the TKG karts versus the just anyone can get a sticker kit and KR. So it was quite hard for me to find my karts. So, but the support from Dino and Ricard, it's outstanding. With the Kart Republic winning the World Championship last year in the KZ, it was very promising, but the tracks are different here, so the setup's a little bit different. We're on a different tire, so we're on a learning curve for sure, and definitely with the level of professionalism of these other teams. When you got shoes like Morgado, and he's got good teammates as well as Kremers. You got Kremers and Danny Formal. They're sharing data, so we're just behind the 8 ball a little bit, but I think by the end of the year we get to some tracks we know will definitely be tough at MCC for sure, and at Newcastle. So we're excited to have the Pro Tour in our backyard.
Yeah, and Sean, I talked to Gavin a good bit earlier in the weekend, and he sounded, not to say down per se, but certainly not as optimistic as we've seen him in the past when it comes to his shifter racing. And I have to ask, for him, it's kind of his second full-time year running the shifter side of things. He's definitely picked it up a lot since he first started being more consistent, but you still kind of see those gremlins. So my question is, when you get in these national weekends and things aren't quite going the way you would expect, how difficult is that for Gavin, kind of being the only guy under the tent running shifter and also the only guy that kind of has, I would say, the only guy you can really reference off of that's not ultra experienced? How do you think that impacts his mindset going through the weekend and how he can overcome maybe a poor start to the weekend that he's had so far?
Well, as everyone knows, racing is, a good share bit mental. So if you get down and you start not feeling right about, is it me? Am I having struggles, myself personally? It can be definitely taxing on you. That's why we were really excited how we ran, because we were 2 seconds off in the session before, so just having awful engine problems. So being on the only one other than the Gary's guys on the Miami, so it's gut-wrenching back to the father thing. So it's hard to watch that part, but we'll get through it. And I think we're going to go after the Stars Championship and have a good run there too.
Yeah, Sean, I don't want to wrench on Gavin, not struggling so far, because we know how good of a driver he is. We know he'll bounce back as the weekend progresses. Speaking of the weekend, right, new format. I know you've been an amateur of it. You've been of a voice and how excited you are for the pro show. I mean, do you think this format's going to play into Gavin's hands? And overall, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, that's another thing that kind of put us behind the 8 ball, because we learned of this last week, that we had our whole mechanics program figured out since last October, and then getting the wrench thrown in a week before, it left us to where we were going to be able to use some of our guys on our amateur during the day, and then they would have had mechanics and be able to wrench. So basically what it did is just threw a big lump of money on top of us that we weren't really planning for. So you can't get the good guys at the last minute. So it was very disappointing for me. I think it would have evened out the show quite a bit. We're already so deep in the weekend now. We're just trying to survive on the pro shifter side. But I think it'll be better. Hopefully they change that tune at MCC, because we have the room to do the hot pit and stuff, but as my guess, I don't think they will.
Well, I'd say that the discussions are still ongoing, and it's still on the table that hot pit, the 30-minute hot pit final practice session, where you're going to have pit carts, and it's going to be a little bit like an IndyCar, like a NASCAR thing, a lot more tactical. That still might happen at some point this year.
Yeah, I hope so with this format, but I really feel that this series probably won't do it, just because there's enough outside pressure for them to keep it as is. You definitely cut down on the time of the track for the drivers for sure. So this is pro per se, but there's quite a few drivers that are paying a lot of money to be here, and you start cutting their laps, and then the other team owners have issues. So. So I understand why they did it. It's just frustrating that they did it at the last minute. I would have liked to have known a long time ago, so we could have prepared a little bit better for it, because it definitely left us in a lurch.
Yeah, and Sean, I mean, we've kind of talked more of the downsides of things for you so far this weekend, but on the good side, I mean, semi-pro category, you have kind of a very wide mix of karts, and so far it looks like you've got some new faces. You've got Cameron Marcia integrating into Junior. You've got Finn kind of going back to the KA scene, so not a new face, but a new kind of
Josh
avenue.
Bergman has just
Josh
signed.
Bergman.
Yeah.
Bergman's back on a mini and looking strong for you guys in his first national race. I mean, as you get set to go for the rest of the weekend, we know the pro show has had its ups and downs, but on the semi-pro side of things, you look good. So, I mean, how do you carry that forward the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, it's exciting to see Rocco Simone came back from his ventures over in Europe. So, he's definitely been at the top of the charts here all weekend. Finn's trying to get the cobwebs off back into the KA. It's looking pretty good. We were pretty solid in the happy hour, even though we had a hub slide in. So I think that's going to end up being pretty good. We were good in the Norberg shootout until we left the pits and got taken out leaving the pits. So I think definitely, Leo Simone's good. We got a real shot. The junior kids are pretty new. But Enzo Vidmontien, he's guiding the ship over there, so we got good data with him, and so I'm elated about what we got. I think we got a shot at every class with a good driver, so we can just Gavin's just got to dig out of a bit of a hole here.
And before we let you go, final question: you're in a very unique position. You're a team owner, you're a circuit owner, and you're a parent, a racing parent. If the pro show takes off like we hope it will, what do you think as a business how will it affect karting? How could it improve your business, and how could it improve the sport of karting? Because the two are not always easy bedfellows, are they?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I get to see it all, just because I see the gripes of team owners. I see the gripe of being a track promoter. and I can kind of call BS on both a little bit per se. So I know the struggles that the team owners have with that. I think this pro format is what the sporting karting, the sport of karting needs, because it's always been. It was the same when I came back. It's like nothing has changed. I was away from it from '93. I got back in 2009, I guess. So nothing had really changed to the sport. That had been what Kart Chaser can bring to it. I've got 2 customers in Pro X30 from Australia. Their main purpose wanting to come over here is because Kart Chaser's making celebrities out of the drivers. And that's in the end of what this sport is. It's an entertainment sport, and if we can keep the entertainment going and the drivers can become it's not going to be a household name to where they're, millions of people know them, but in the sport, if these kids, the younger kids, the junior kids, can aspire to be this pro, they might want to stay in karting. Car racing is boring as can be as far as, when you're involved in it. And I think it's a disappointment when these kids leave and they get in a car. You get at the racetrack at 7 o'clock, you get a 30-second or a 30-minute practice, and then 10 hours later you race. So, it's quite boring, and it's very expensive. Karting is, not a cheap sport by any means, but it pales in comparison to car racing. I'll call that, BS on that for sure. So if we can make celebrities out of these guys and get viewership, there's no reason why you can't be more like Supercross is on Saturday night and, have a short format to where we can put on a heck of a show, because the racing's fantastic. I don't want it to turn into big demolition derby, but if we can give these guys a reason to stay and not go to cars, then, we'll get bigger fields, and then the kids aren't leaving at, juniors. They're going to stay for seniors and stay a few more years in it. So I think it'd be huge if it's successful, and I think it can be. It sure couldn't be without, what you guys do at Kart Chaser for sure.
Well, I mean, there's certainly, I think SKUSA and Xander Clements from Kart Chaser and Tom from SKUSA, it's not a gamble. They changed the game, and of course, I'm sure there'll be hiccups. But the hope is that this will make karting more mainstream. It will make karting more accessible, because more people in the sport, more chassis being sold, engines being sold, the cost can come down, and it can sustain more professional kart racers.
Right.
So that karting isn't just seen as a stepping stone; it's seen as a sport in its own right. And you could have, in 3 years' time, 30 drivers in X30 Pro and 30 drivers in Pro Shifter who are all the pro show professional kart racers.
Yeah, and I think if we could, as team owners, actually field true pros to where the class is big enough, or there's enough participants to where we can actually field 2-car teams similar to Formula One or not, and then you got to earn your spot into that. You might still have the X30 category, but it's not at the pro level. So we can get it to where, say, we have Brandon Carr and Finn earned his right into being that pro driver. Then that shows huge, and then I don't think the other teams worry about pleasing their customers. So, and then that gives a progression up the ladder, because you could have 40 amateurs trying to vie for those, say Raleigh has 2 pros, I have 2 pros, it could work where you could have a 30 kart field of just 2 pros of each team, and then that would get really interesting. Yeah. So that's I think a goal that could be had, but some of these other team owners need to believe in it, and I don't think they do right at the moment.
Well, we live in hope. Some fascinating insight. Sean Bayliff, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to take our final commercial break, and when we come back, we're speaking to the number 1 plate, the champion, Marijn Kremers.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match.
And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free. Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at Simcraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in Simcraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal. Welcome back to the final portion of today's live episode of Grid Talk here at Orlando Kart Center. And there's only one way to finish off this episode, and that is with the champion, Marijn Kremers. It's a pleasure to have you back, a surprise to have you back, seeing as that you are now a factory Tony Kart driver in Europe. But, okay, Rollerson Performance Group, OTK product, Tony Kart, OTK product. The deal was done. Welcome back. Welcome home.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I was very excited to get the call up.
Obviously, you get the call up, and the game has changed. The top three in Happy Hour, so Danny Formal, we all know his reputation, your new teammate, yourself, and then former world champion Matheus Morgato. I'm looking at there was 1/10 of a second between the three of you. 1/10 in a pro shifter, that shows just how much the level is being raised.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Danny has always been fast. I know Matheus from how he drives in Europe. I've seen him drive last year in Europe. He's always been very, very quick over there, so I knew he would be quick in pro shifter here too. So yeah, it was no surprise for me to see them this fast. Coming in, I knew I had to step up my game a little bit from last year, so it's exactly what we tried to do, and so far so good.
And before I let these two loose on you, obviously being in Europe and being around the European factory teams, was there any conversation in Europe, or when news of the Pro Show format and SKUSA, had it filtered into European karting circles much? Was there much talk about it?
For sure. People follow Kart Chaser on Instagram and all the other social medias, and they do a good job promoting it. So for sure everybody knew about it. As soon as I found out, I really wanted to come back. So I'm happy this all worked out for me. And yeah, my teammates over in Europe, they're upset that I'm here and they're not. So it's good.
Well,
good for me.
It bodes well for the future as well, because again, if the factories, and you're racing the KZ, the KZ World Cup, it is all factory drivers, factory car. It is the pinnacle, and if the factories are all talking about it, then who's to say that we're not going to have a few more over here, a few more factory teams turning up in years to come. Okay, take it away, Alexander Searle. Meet Marijn Kremers.
Hi, Marijn.
The question is on its way.
Marijn, yeah, first and foremost, right? New colors with the RPG guys. You've been against them for the past couple of years here in the States. What's that transition been like now? Walking into the tent saying hello. Now I'm an RPG driver.
I mean, it was a little awkward at first for me. I didn't know how they would welcome me, but they've all been very nice to me, all been very welcoming, and yeah, I think we're all excited to start working together. So so far it's been a great experience.
Yeah, and one other thing here, right? From Europe, back here in the States. I mean, obviously you drove here at Supernats and the whole States last year, but getting used to the high grip levels in Europe, different tires, has there been a learning curve back into what it's like to drive a shifter over here in the States?
Not so much over what it's like to over here. It's been more of a learning curve back in Europe. I mean, the high grip levels is something you have to keep doing to be good at, and yeah, that was a little bit of an experience for me to get back into that. Obviously, I've been out of it for about 2 years now, so getting back into that early this winter. The first test days we did, I was knackered at the end of the day. My head was falling off, and I was trying to not show it to anybody and just hold my head up, but deep inside I was tired. So yeah, I needed to work out on that, and I did. Getting back into the swing of things in Europe, we've done lots of races so far, and yeah, every race gets a little bit better, so it looks good for the rest of the year.
Yeah, Marijn, I mean, this is kind of your first chance back in the U.S. to have a one-to-one comparison between the OTK and the Brel here, lower grip levels and whatnot. Last year and the year before, this was a track that you did really well at. I mean, what sort of differences have you noticed in the package that you're on this year compared to last year with the Brel Art?
I mean, this race last year we went fast, but it was a bit of a struggle for us. We improved the go-kart a lot throughout the year last year, so I don't think it's completely fair to compare them. So far, the OTK has been a rocket ship. For the first session, we've put it down. We've been quick. Both my teammate Danny and I, we've been one of the quickest on track every time we go out. So that's good for us. But like I said, the Brel last year we worked very hard on it, and it got better throughout the year. So that's showing with Matthäus as well this week.
And so one other thing, I mean, looking more on the strategic side of things, final practice, you waited a few laps to go out onto the track to kind of maybe wait for the track to cool down a little bit. I mean, what was the strategy behind that?
Just not to get too tired, I guess. Tomorrow it's qualifying, it's 4 minutes, so we knew we didn't need the whole 12 minutes of happy hour to do the time. The most important thing was to get it done early on, so we wanted to wait a little bit longer to make sure we had free track. Didn't really work out for us. I mean, I had some traffic. I spoke with Danny quickly, and he said he had traffic as well. So yeah, it's rough to get. It's tough to get the free space on track, but tomorrow should be a little bit easier for us to do that with the qualifying format the way it is.
Yeah, and one more thing real quickly. I mean, how do you balance sort of setting up for the quick qualifying, obviously with only 4 minutes tomorrow, as well as the 2-lap Super Bowl that could end up happening, supposing you're in the top 12, versus a long race? I mean, 25 minutes to distance, it is a workout. So when you're practicing, you don't have that long in terms of sessions, but how do you kind of go about balancing your preparation for both a long run as well as that short qualifying burst?
I mean, for me so far, it's been all about trying to get that qualifying performance right. Track position is so important for us, so we've been really focused on getting a good qualifying run, qualifying simulations and done, and it's been working so far. I think we use the pre-final a little bit more as to see how it goes for the long run. It's shorter than the final, but it's a longer distance than we've been used to. So yeah, we use that pre-final to our advantage, and then set up the go-kart for the final.
Yeah, Marijn, I mean, being a broadcaster of the sport, being a fan of the sport that I am, you know, you and Danny have put on such a good show for us over the years in Shifter. What's it like now having such a highly decorated guy besides yourself, but Danny Formal as a teammate?
I mean, he's great. I get along very well with Danny, even when we weren't teammates. So now we get to share everything. We get to share tire pressures and data, and it's been really fun working with him. He's a great guy, and obviously he's very talented. So it's only helping me to elevate my game as well.
And, you know, a guy that's, you know, done both ends, right? Europe, America, you've done pretty much every single country possible that you can race in, Australia even, right? So how excited are you, and how much do you think a pro show like we're going to see this weekend and the entire Pro Tour is going to move the needle for American karting?
I think it's great. It's not just for American karting. I think it's karting worldwide. Like I said earlier, people are talking about it in Europe. I know people are talking about it in Australia as well. So yeah, I think it's karting worldwide. This is new for everybody, but I think it's going to really elevate the game for everybody.
I mean, just looking at the grid, 26 drivers in Pro Shifter. There's 9 different teams, 9 different chassis. And just a quick glance at, so we had, obviously, Rollerson Performance Group 1, 2, PSL 3rd and 4th. Then we had GFC 5th. We had Inter MS. We've had Magic Kart. We've got the Factory Kart, the All-American Kart, in the top 10. That's really good, isn't it? Because, it's all well and good having the super teams, but if it was just you and Danny Formal, for example, and Rollerson Performance Group, and you've got the other drivers in there pulling away from, and it was only OTKs and barrels, that, loses a little bit of the luster, doesn't it?
For sure. I mean, obviously I'm a little bit biased towards RBG right now, so it's good to see us 1 and 2 and topping the field, but everybody has got their top drivers in Pro Shifter, and all the chassis are good. I mean, everybody's showing it, everybody's close in times, and it doesn't matter what go-kart you're on, you can be inside the top 10 for sure.
Well, I'll give these guys one last quick question, but I got one last quick question for you. you hear that when drivers change teams, sometimes they go into the wrong pits, especially in NASCAR. When you came into the paddock, down the main sort of area, you got PSL on the right and Rollerson Performance Group on the left. How did you have to consciously not just walk into the PSL awning and think, no, I've got to walk past it?
I mean, I've been used to it from racing in Europe. I almost made that mistake earlier this year. I had a bad session. I was holding my head low and walking through the paddock. I had my hand on the door to open the door, and I realized it was the wrong tent. It was the one next door to it. So yeah, I almost made that mistake earlier the year. So I'm not making it here.
Well, I got to say that knowing you for a long time, even if you did walk in, you'd always be welcomed warmly. Even if it was like, no, Marijn, you're next door now, just because you cultivate good relationships with your teams, and then you move on with, there's no ill will. Okay, last question to the champ, Alex Searle.
Yeah, Marijn, a broad question here, but I got to know, right, you're 1-2 in happy hour, you've been quick all day long. I mean, confidence levels, they got to be at an all-time high right now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, as soon as we put the go-kart down on the track, it was fast, so we're feeling very confident. Danny's been very quick, so yeah, it's good. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Emory?
Yeah, Marijn, I mean, Alex took the optimistic side of things. You've been quick all day, absolutely no question about that. But I got to say, 15 thousandths of a second in happy hour, unacceptable, really slow. How are you going to change that? There's $5,000 on the line this weekend for you versus Danny. I mean, where do you think you can make that last little difference?
I mean, I've got it in my back pocket. I just let Danny have this one so I can have the rest of the weekend.
Got it.
Okay, now obviously we've got the favourites. There's all the main names there up at the front in Abia, Filmar, Marijn, and Morgato. From each of you two guys, and maybe even you, Marijn, I think we'll found this off. Give me one name that is flying under the radar. Or give me two names, flying under the radar that we're not talking about as potential winners, but who's performing well that could end up top 5 even on the podium. Go.
Yeah, it's tough to say an under the radar guy in shifter because how close the field is. But to me, Giorgio Carrara is one that stands out to me. He's proven how quick he can be with limited time on the seat too. At Homestead was his first time in the kart since Super Nats. This is his first time in the kart since Homestead. So with that many breaks in between sessions, unlike a guy like Kremers, who's in the seat a lot, really used to it, Carrara's been impressive, and he's still getting used to the chassis. So for him, I think he's one that's under the radar. And the guy that's not so under the radar, but maybe right now a little bit behind his teammate Kyle Wick, Jacob Gulick, to me is another guy that I look at and say, this guy has been incredibly quick. It was a breakout year from last year, and I expect him to be up front this weekend.
Emory?
Marijn, I'm going to take two of your former PSL teammates, one of them still under the banner, one of them not. First off, Jay Irwin. I mean, really good in happy hour to be within 2.5 tenths of Marijn, Danny, and Mateus.
And the New Zealand, he's still just 15 years old.
I mean, we saw last year some of the growing pains on the shifter side of things, but this year he's been off to a good start, practiced really well. I'm excited to see what he can do, both over the course of the season as well as in the main event. The other guy, Hunter Pickett, on the GFC side of things this year, has been really kind of adapting well to that kart. Was the quickest of the the four in that stable when we got into the final practice. I think he's been consistently fast throughout the day. I'm excited to see what he can do over the course of the season, as well as this weekend where he seems to have top 5 pace.
And Marijn, okay, I'm not going to put you on this. I'll put you on the spot a little bit, but not too much. So Rollerson Performance Group. There's obviously there's yourself and Danny Formal. You've also got Cooper Becklin, and you've also got Anthony Martella in the team. Are either of those two drivers set to break out this year and join the likes of yourself and Mateus and Danny on the very top table?
I mean, I hope so for sure. We've been working very hard on getting them closer to us, and they've been listening and trying their best to get close. I know Anthony in happy hour, he didn't get a free lap in. I think he could have gone a lot faster than he did. I think he ended up in P21, but he had top 10 pace, I think, and so did Cooper Becklin. I mean, he's been very quick all day. Just in happy hour, it didn't show. He's overdriving it a little bit. I think just too eager to show what they've got.
Okay, now that was the soft PR question. Now, give me a name of someone not in your team who you think will shock the establishment this weekend based on what you've seen this weekend.
Oh, for sure, Jay Irwin. He has been quick. I know him for a while. I've known him from racing in Australia, and I know how quick he can be. And he's showing it so far. I mean, he's P4. He is a quick guy. He's just had some growing pains last year, but I think if he cleans up his axe, he can be very quick. So he's definitely someone to look out for.
Well, that's high praise indeed from Marijn Kremers. Thank you very much, Marijn, for joining us, and thank you very much indeed. An hour goes past very quickly when you're having fun, doesn't it, boys and girls? So this is what we have in store for you over the next 2 days. Saturday morning, we go live at approximately 7:45 a.m. local time. The free coverage will be the semi-pro warm-up and qualifying. Then we move to our premium coverage on Saturday afternoon for the semi-pro pre-finals and the finals, and then obviously the pro show. Marijn and 25 of his good KZ2 buddies go out for qualifying, Super Pole, and the 17-minute pre-final. On Sunday, we have the free to air is the semi-pro warm-up and qualifying, and courtesy of our sponsors for this weekend. We've got a Pride Associate sponsor, Simcraft. We've got Coastal Ink Printing. We've got AKR. We've got shopakr.com. The first ever pro show main events will go free to air on Kart Chaser. The semi-pro pre-finals and finals, that will be for premium members only, but on what could be the most significant weekend in the history of North American karting, the pro show is live on Kart Chaser and it's free. Please join us. You are not going to want to miss this. On behalf of our guests, Austin Garrison, Dalton Haynes, Harley, Sean Bayliff, and the Flying Dutchman, Marijn Kremers, and our panellists, Emory Lyda and Alex Searle. This has been Grid Talk Live. Pro Show is up next. See you in the morning.